Monday? Is it Monday? It is Monday. Having holidays in the middle of the week has really messed me up. Feels like a Monday, but then it's like, wait, is it Tuesday? No. It's weird. So, I want to just talk about my thoughts on the idea of this isn't for you. And I've talked about it a little bit before. I've talked about it before. I'll never get through the whole thing in this here. I'll get too distracted. My mind is elsewhere, as it should be, since I'm kind of on the road. But I think there's an overall general conversation that we should have about people's criticism of this isn't made for you. Because I know it's been something that people have used in the past. I know people have said it in the past. Well, it just wasn't made for you. It's never, the way it's always come off to me is we made a thing and it wasn't designed with this particular audience in mind. Which I don't inherently disagree with. When I hear that, I don't just immediately dismiss it. I guess the issue that I think people are having, some of the criticism I've seen is these things are followed up with general slurs, or not slurs, but there could be demeaning comments following them about the audiences that they're talking about, which I think is fair. It kind of goes to a similar thing, where someone sees oh, there's a female lead in a game, so this is woke trash. The default, this sort of default setting that if the person doesn't fit my worldview, it's automatically something bad. What's up, Grammy? Good to see you, man. I don't want people to get so twisted in their ways of how they want things that they don't they're not open to seeing or trying things that might be good. So there's two things here. Is one, that it's not inherently bad to say that something wasn't necessarily made for you. On the other hand, I tweeted about this yesterday. I really wonder what kind of news that everyone missed out on before Twitter became the thing, right? I think Twitter's done somewhat of a good job at a couple things. One, it's done a good job at bringing communication to a wide swath of people. You have told me that, Krabby. Beard meets food. I've heard. I think I went and subscribed to him after you said that. I wonder, before Twitter became big on sharing news and sharing things that were happening, how much did we miss out on with internal strife of different companies, right? Even I'm not even saying I'm talking about video game companies, which have only become super big and in the news in, I would say, maybe the past 10 or 15 years. Even companies the big companies, big oil companies, health companies, you saw stuff in the news about them. Some really big oil bill. You heard all about it. Like it's. But now, like, we hear everything all the time. Oh, Arcasul, 17-month member, respectable gent. Bro, working 6 days a week. The days meld together. It feels like yesterday you did a Carversation. Yeah. Thanks for being a sponsor, brother. Appreciate you, man. Glad you're kicking ass and taking names with work. Your 2-week vacation's coming up. And we can game and hang out. I just think there's a lot of laziness when it comes to the critiques around games and, like, people who are in opposition. Like, if some dimwit says, well, this just isn't made for you. Or, I'm sorry, if someone says this isn't made for you, some dimwit says, well, you're just, you're just some shill, you're, like, no one should listen to you. Like, that to me is, it's just the lowest form of the argument. Right? I think some people say a lot, say very little by saying a lot. Squid Game 2 is great. I want to see it. I haven't put any time into it yet. I think people make products for. I don't think anyone knowingly, like, there's few people who knowingly will make a product for a very niche group of people. I think by and large, most companies, if their product is in the entertainment business, is making a product that can appeal to as big of a percentage of the population as possible, because that's how they're going to make money. There's few people, I think, who really lean into, this is my passion and I'm doing it for me, and because I know there's a niche audience that want it. And I won't disagree that it's, like, cringe for some of these, for some of these public figures to, especially in the gaming industry, to sit up there and say, this game's not for you, don't buy it. But there's truth in there that, like, they I don't think they realize what they're doing, right? They're 100% right. Don't buy it. If you don't like what a company's doing, you shouldn't invest in that company. It's one of the most powerful abilities you have as a consumer. You don't like how a company's handling something, don't invest in it. Don't give them your money. Like I said, I don't think that them saying that this game isn't for you is inherently wrong. Because it at the end of the day, it just might not be. Like, when people, and here, I'll give you an example. When someone remakes something like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I grew up watching the original. I love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. When they remade that movie, guess what? That remake was not for me. That remake was for a whole new audience of people that was trying to experience that movie. Now, the difference is they didn't come out and say, this remake isn't for you. This is for a new audience. But let's be real. They remade that movie because it didn't age particularly well. I mean, I think it did. I think it's fine, personally. Even niche games have a big enough modern audience doesn't seem to exist. Yeah, I mean, I think the modern audience thing is is sort of this like an ethereal thing that we're grasping onto. Arkansas says, but what I will say, Shags, is that just because you don't like something doesn't mean you can't shit on those who do like that game. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this isn't me saying you shouldn't criticize a game or even criticize like someone for liking something or whatever. I guess my point is like everyone, I see just a lot of people saying like, this game isn't for you. It's just like, it's just a way to, like, it's just a way to kill your game or your product. And like, I don't think there's anything necessarily inherently wrong with that statement. I think that people who have come to use it in the recent past are a bit insufferable. I don't think that they're especially bright. But if I were to say something like, well, I don't like, here's an example, probably a little bit easier to wrap your head around. If I say to someone, or someone said to me like, oh man, I can't, like Dark Souls, man, I can't get into it. And I'm like, yeah, but it's the best game ever. Like it's like, it's one of the best series ever. It's so well done. The mechanics are great. Well thought out bosses. It's one of those games that I could look at someone and go, well, it's probably not made for you, you know? Or even someone who's like, I want to get into these. I want to play these because I hear they're so good, but I can't. Well, maybe they're not made for you. Because I'll tell you, I think some games are just not made for people, for a particular person. I know my wife really well, and I know that she doesn't like she likes to unwind from movies. She likes to unwind from the world and watch movies. She doesn't want like some like intellectually deep movie to watch usually. She has to be in a very, very specific mood to enjoy it. So it's like in the very, very similar vein, like some things just aren't meant for you for one reason or another. Again, there's something here like that people need to understand is I'm not in disagreement with about how insufferable these people are in their like how they've sort of taken over parts of the industry and just watered it down and made it bad. But you know, I'm trying to be specific about things and that you can't just dismiss someone because they use a certain phrase or say a particular thing. And then in the same vein, like I was getting to as well, by extension, you know, a lot of this stuff regarding was it South of Midnight? Is that what it's called? The new game. There's some pretty heavy criticisms against it because they fired a voice actor because she didn't sound black enough or diverse enough or whatever it was. But when I look at that gameplay trailer, I think, wow, this looks like a really fluid game. It looks like a fun game. Fun traversal. It looks like some really cool abilities exist. It looks like we could have some sort of like Metroidvania platformer type thing going on that could be a lot of fun. Now, trailers are meant to look a certain way. They're meant to pull you in. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why. You know, the big problem here, the big problems is social media and how it's turned into like a tattletale machine is what it's essentially turned into. Someone did something at some point, someone's gonna hop on there and hope that some virality comes of their post about a particular thing. Or the person who was wronged is going to hop on there and, let people know that they were wronged along the way. Now, should someone be fired? Because if someone already got the job, you should let them keep the job. But, and here's the thing, people are hired all the time or don't get a voice all the time because they don't sound the part. But if she was already hired and then they fired her later on, that's a problem. But I don't want to get into the irony of people arguing on an app that's running on a phone that's created using slave labor, right? No one gives a shit about that, No one's making a moral grandstand about their Samsung phone or their iPhone. We got to get those lithium batteries going with all the child labor in China, all that cheap labor. But then they're going to be up in arms. Oh, I'm not going to support that game because so-and-so was fired because they don't sound black enough. Like, well, at the end of the day, none of us really have any sort of moral leg to stand on because we're supporting companies who just don't give a fuck about human rights anyway. So let's not pretend that that's really the issue here. Like, I'm going to say that right now. What's up, Charlie? Your voice is the wrong color, therefore you're the wrong color. I mean, I get, like, you want to sound more ethnic. Like I said, people are not hired all the time because they are incapable of sounding the way they want them to sound. Right? That's a directorial thing. It's a whatever that they're wanting to do with the character. I don't. That happens all the time. I don't care. I'm sorry, sir. You're just not what we're looking for. Your voice just doesn't. It's got too much baritone in it. We can't. We're looking for something with some softer whatever. It doesn't matter. That's the hiring process. But again, if she's hired on, she's being paid, she's doing voice acting, which it sounded like she did. There was the actress in the beginning had recorded voice lines, the whole thing. Then they fired her because she didn't sound ethnic enough. And again, Sweet Baby Inc. is involved. I'm pretty tired about hearing about Sweet Baby Inc. But they were involved. So no one wants to support that game because of those things. Again, no one really has any leg to stand on because we make excuses for abhorrent human behavior every single day. But video games is where we got to draw the line. Right? Me included, not excluding myself here before anyone starts saying, oh, look at you. No, I'm just saying I accept the fact that I'm a piece of shit for buying a phone constantly and having pieces of electronics that I know are made with the cheapest possible labor, especially not here in the U.S. And likely child slavery is involved. So I don't have a leg to stand on either. But again, I'm also not sitting here kicking and screaming every 5 minutes because some group of nitwits is is adjudicating what does and does not belong in a video game. Meanwhile, I just want to play a game that A, looks pretty good and plays really good. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. What's up, Mephisto? Escapism is where I draw the line. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. When I look at a game like South of Midnight, I see a game that lets me escape. Does the main character look like me? No, but I'd be willing to bet there's probably aspects of that story that I would enjoy. There's probably some, and I could be wrong. I'm just like based on what I see in a trailer. What's up, the Beast? It's good to see you, man. based on what I see in the trailer looks good. It looks fun. I like those kind of games. I love those kind of games. Mephisto, good to see you, man. I want to, and I'll be clear, and I was clear on Twitter. The Beast knows this because he responded to me. I'm not going to pay money for that game, but it's going to be available on Game Pass, so I will leverage my subscription on Game Pass to play that game and give it a proper run through. I'm not opposed to investing in a game to see if it's something that I like. I bought Concord and I got a refund. But I'm not opposed to trying something in order to see if it's something that I'll enjoy. I mean, that's why in some respect, if you play enough video games, Game Pass is a brilliant option because you can play and test out things like anytime you want if it's on Game Pass. If you play a lot of games, you should use it. Yeah, the art style looks cool too. Again, like to me, it's a multi-pronged thing. Cool art style. The gameplay looks fun, and I like platformers. That's where the subjectivism comes into play. What I consider part of escapism versus what someone else decides to include or exclude. Right. But for me, inclusions of people that don't look like me aren't an automatic dismissal. Right? It's like Dragon Age Veilguard isn't bad because of these. Is bad because the dialogue is sluggish and extraneous or superfluous and makes you fall out of the world that it's trying to create. But if everything makes sense in the context of what you're doing, then I'm okay with that. Again, I said this on side scrollers, like there's characters that don't look anything like me that I've found some attachment to and respect for because they were well written. It's nothing to do, and I mean, there's plenty of people that I know that are like, I don't require a black character and everything. I've found much likeness with the white characters that I've played. You know? We do this with a lot of things. Like, people enjoy bad movies and bad TV shows all the time, and they'll tolerate them because they're campy and dumb or just fun entertainment. But they won't do it with games. I mean, games in some small respect require a bit more of your attention, and they are, like, to some degree, work. With a movie, you just sort of sit there. But the idea that, I don't know, overall, when someone says to you, this game isn't for you, I think it could be a red flag. Just like body type A and B. I'll concede to Blabs that body type A and B is a red flag for a game that might have some aspects you might not like, or it could be woke. I hate using that term. But as we know, we have really great games. We have really great games that have body type A, body type B. And everyone plays them and calls them some of the best games of all time. Nominates them for the best games of the year. Just because something exists doesn't automatically make it bad. You could make it. It could be a red flag. Oh, this game has body type A and B. Oh, better watch out. I don't even pay attention to that shit because, like, the character creation stuff is not something I put any measurable amount of time into at all. I don't care about character creation. So when I see a character that says body type A or body type B, I don't I don't like enrage into a ball of flame and then make 40 YouTube videos about it. I just think, oh, the end. I know that might be controversial, but I seem to be having the same issue with Squid Game Season 2 because I don't care about the model being, oh yeah, dude, like that again just seems, that's one of my points too, is like the problem, and I said this online, one of the problems is like too much information. We all have way too much information about other people's lives at this point. And I said this in a tweet and people totally misunderstood what I was saying. We know too much about these people that are in movies. We need to ignore it. Every single person is trying, like, what is happening in that case? Let's just take that case for an example. That mom who was just trying to get money to get his surgery. He's trying to get a paycheck to save for something he wants. Like, that's it. That's literally it. But that's not it, because people need something to talk about and need something to get mad about. That guy's life doesn't even, like, kind of affect me. I'm not worried about that on Netflix. Like, so I was at a coffee shop the other day, and with my kids, in the bathrooms, it said like all gender bathrooms on the sign for both of them, and it had a picture of a man, a woman, and then a picture of like it was like half man, half woman, like it was like dressed. And my son was like, "What does that mean?" And all I said was, "That means it's a bathroom for everyone." End of story. I don't need to get into the minutia and the politics of transgender people or why this is wrong. Or what. That's a bathroom for everyone. That's it. Done. Imagine that. I get to communicate with my kids, teach them a little something, not be a completely bigoted asshole. Everyone's happy. Done. Done. Now, like it just, again, example of like, I don't need to get mad at every single thing. I don't need to get enraged that this exists. Do I think it's unnecessary? Sure. But not affecting me in any way. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too about it. I don't know. Everyone else has life-crippling debt. He is there by choice. His motivation is far more selfish than everyone else. I'm not sure what you were talking about there, Brad. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, guys, I think, like I always say, I'm always advocating for people to disconnect with things, which is, the irony is that, like, it removes people from my audience. But I think there's a level of, like, toxicity that we are, like, sort of injecting into ourselves that is like that's his story in the actual show. I'm confused. Like, the story in the show is that he's in debt from transitioning and he needs to make money to satisfy that. Like here's the thing, and this is why it's not a big deal. I just don't pay attention to that story, right? Like that part of the arc, if that's what it is, I tend to just ignore because it doesn't have any weight to me. And like I probably wouldn't watch a show if that person were the main character because I don't care about that arc. Because it would be a show not made for me, and I'm okay with that. How's the video game coming? It's good. It's slow, man. It's slow, but me and the team, we're doing a lot of like prep work. Right now, Charlie, I'm doing a lot of like stuff on my own that I like, following some like detailed tutorials to get myself savvy with C# is what I'm doing. I understand logic in C# a lot better now. But thank you for asking. I'm really hyped. We were talking last night about testing phases, which is down the line, but yeah, we have some good ideas. Okay, so that is his arc in Squid Game. Yeah, like those are the things I don't necessarily end up paying attention to because they're not like, I don't really care about those. But I'm gonna watch it because, you know, Squid Game in the past has been really good. You know? And the thing is, and here's what I'll say. No, I'm not going with Unreal. C# is Unity. What was I going to say? I don't even necessarily disagree with the premise of him so someone starting with a selfish motivation, like I am in debt because of my surgery to becoming a woman. So I'm going to do this thinking I can win this. And there's deep lessons to be learned about being selfish in that way. Like, oh, there's people here with real problems, and the arc could go in a way, his character arc can go in a way that is very fulfilling and that maybe people will understand. Even a straight person might understand that being self-centered and doing things for selfish reasons, you know, might not be good, and that makes you do things in the games that, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't seen it, but I'm just saying there are good things that can come of those storylines. It's not automatically like, oh, well, this is a trans person here, so it's woke shit, it's trash. Again, that to me is the lowest form of intellectual engagement, and like, people should be embarrassed if that's the way they think. You don't have to like the idea of people being trans or whatever, but like, it's stupid. It's stupid to just automatically default to that setting, because good writing is used to further a message to people in a way that, like, can teach, that can help people understand the world in a broader sense. Like, that's just kind of how it's always been. Like, even, I mean, old cartoons, I just introduced my kids to the old Inspector Gadget. In the first episode, like, and now I'm remembering, like, a lot of like kids cartoons, they centered around messages that, like, it would culminate at the end with, like, see, like, it's just good to, like, help one another and, like, be there for blah blah blah, and they would kind of explain the message more explicitly to those, you know, to the audience at the end, which I don't know if I appreciate it as much as I do now, because there are some good ones in those older cartoons. It is hot in my truck. God damn. Yeah, it's okay to have red flags, Professor. I just think I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to people thinking like, "Oh, this is a red flag. We got to be careful." That's fine. Like, be cautious. It just like at some point you're just not going to enjoy anything ever because something was a red flag in the past. Like people just take it a little bit too far, in my opinion. Oh, this was the thing. Oh, it was a trans person, so it's automatically shit. Oh my god, like it's just tiring, dude. Like it's boring. It's boring. And like you have to understand, like if you are vocal about that, like if you go online and say, "Oh, a trans person," oh great. Like, you have to understand, whether you're trying to or not, that doesn't look good for you. Like, you have to know that. You might not, like, it might just be like, oh, I'm worried that it's going to be the message. You have to understand how that comes off to people. It doesn't come off as, like, understanding. Like, that's why I said, like some shit is okay to stay in your head. Not everything needs to be communicated on Twitter. I know people can, and they want to, and that's great, and it provides engagement. Do you? Advice from little old Tom, keep some of the stupid thoughts in your head. Sometimes you just got to keep stupid shit in your head. But there's so many things that we engage in, and I do think that a lot of us just have too much information right now. We have too much information, and it's causing us to not quite enjoy things as much as we should. There's video games out there that genuinely look good. South of Midnight genuinely looks good. 15 years ago, you wouldn't have known shit about any of what's going on internally with that place. You would have played the game, you would have liked it or not liked it. Every single thing that we have now is like Twitter is just like it's all over every bit of news. Every bit of it. The only time you would hear shit I don't think it's you'll never not enjoy anything ever. I think there are plenty of things out there that you can enjoy. I do enjoy. There are even things out there that side from that message so they can focus on a better story. There definitely is. And I think that we had a lot of great games this past year. I think there's a lot of companies that didn't subscribe to this, and we got games that were much better. There's a lot of indie titles that are just fucking fantastic, that don't beat you over the head with, they don't front load their marketing with identity politics stuff. Bro, Balatro, I'm telling you, man, if there's any game out there that should tell you that like the gaming industry is ready for new things, Balatro is it. Balatro is such a good game. And it just proves to me that there's a lot of creative people out there. There's a lot of creative people out there, and there's a lot of people that are just looking for something new. Now, I know roguelikes aren't new, but what a blend. It's so cool. And even roguelike card games like that, those aren't new either, but the way they did it with poker, it just makes me so happy. And I'm glad I got you addicted to it. It's like a double whammy for me because I have it on my my tablet and I have it on Steam. No, we're just doing something simple. Yeah, I'm not convinced that graphics equals like greatness or whatever. I think that's where like Call of Duty really lost the narrative when they went for like more like hyper realism in their game and stuff. It started looking like shit. That game runs like total ass cheeks. But yeah, man, I'm stoked to get into this game and develop more in Unity. Unity is a really great platform. Is this the parking spot? Because I'm going to make it one. Oops. Actually, I don't think I can. I think I got to go back this way. That's a toit space. Toit like a toiger. I'm not even gonna be here that long, but I'm now required to like spend like some time every morning at the office. It's bullshit, y'all. It's bullshit and it's bad for you. Yeah, you shouldn't. That's fine. I was talking about this earlier. You didn't hear me, but if a company tells you that, then don't buy their game if you don't want to. But saying that a game might not be for you or is not for you is not inherently wrong. It might not be for you. And you know what? Take them at their word. But even the funnier thing, like here's another scenario. When I look at a game like South of Midnight, that game might not be made for me, a white bearded man, but guess what? It looks good and I'm going to play it because I want to. And if a developer says this isn't made for you, okay, well, you're just trying to alienate your audience. But I'll tell you what, if that game turns out to be good, I will take that clip and I will totally turn it on their head. Hey, you have some PR people here who are saying that this game isn't made for you, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? It actually was because I really enjoyed it. So that can go two ways. That could be turned into almost a double positive of, hey, I really enjoyed this game. But also, guess what? You have a studio who's actually capable of reaching across ethnic, gender, blah, blah lines and actually made a story that resonated with the audience that they thought it wasn't made for. So that's a huge positive. But it could go the other way too. My point is that you don't automatically dismissing a company or whatever because they said this game isn't made for you, I don't think is very smart. And it causes more problems in the end. It causes more stress and anger that doesn't need to happen. But ultimately, the joke is on them. The joke is on them because if they're going to sit there and say this game wasn't made for you, you go and play and it was made for you, well, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you this as a white pill. Like the truth will win out in this. None of the solutions of the past were created in a day. You will absolutely see a turnaround. These people who are frauds, they will lose their jobs. I don't want people to lose their jobs, but the people who are like explicitly like lying to you and trying to make you like hate each other, they're not going to be around very long. And we're already seeing, you're already seeing these companies lose money, man. You're already seeing these companies lose money. They can only allow these people to have their jobs for so long. Oh, dude, when you come up this way, you got to make sure you hit me up. We'll meet up for sure, if you can stop for a little bit. Honestly, you'll do more harm to these people if you do what I said. If they sit there and tell you that this game's not made for you, and then you play it and it was made for you, that looks even worse on them. At least I think. Feed these people their own words at the end of the day. Or don't. Or the other thing you can do is, like I said, you vote with your wallet. Don't allow them. If you don't like what they're saying, don't buy anything. And that's totally fine too. But the phrase, I just believe that someone saying this wasn't made for you shouldn't just necessarily be, the end of the world. Okay. I love you guys. This was a good stream. I appreciate everyone coming by. Professor Savage Dad was here. Krabby Patty has been hanging out. The Beast, Static 2020. Arkasul was here earlier. He subbed. Andy was here. Excuse me. Charlie was here too. He's working on his video game. Thank y'all for hanging out. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Brahma Bull was here. If I missed you, I'm sorry. I love you guys, but I'm going to head to my day. I'm going to start working. Love you guys. Be good. We'll see you this week on the midweek hump, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. I'll probably be live on Twitch tonight playing Path of Exile 2 if you want to stop by. Y'all be good. Be polite. Be nice to one another in the comments. See you next time.